So several things are lined up. Of course, the ironing out of the FTA, the free trade agreement that India signed back in July, that deal will of course be the top of the agenda. There are several other things lined up that we'll be looking at. There are many points of contentions here, such as the Indian diaspora anchoring the relation between both the nations. There is about 1.8 million strong Indian community in the UK, just to give you a perspective. 2.7% of UK's total population belongs to Indians, and they boost trade, culture and innovation in the country. And the things that we could be talking about is making the partnership more robust. There could be discussions on trade, defense, education. India-UK FTA was announced back in May, and that will be ironed out. 2025 Southampton University in Gurugram, that is one of the things that will be talked about. And just to give you a perspective, in the year 2023-2024, around 1.7 lakh Indians were in the UK. So India does play a huge role when it comes to the UK's economy, because it sends out workers, it sends out students to its territory. That boosts the economy there. There will be joint tri-services drills that will be conducted by the defense sides of both the countries. So these are some of the things that could be talked about.
Right, Vishal, we will of course revert to you. Do stay on with us as I go across to my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul now, who joins us. Aditya, in the current global environment where US President Donald Trump's disruptive approach has created lots of uncertainties, does this trip reset the fact, or actually put the fact in the spotlight, that India and the UK have now an opportunity to be reliable and predictable partners in the current scheme of global affairs?
Well, Parmeshwar, what is critical here is that for UK and for rest of the world, India is critical when it comes to market access, when it comes to trade, and when it comes to people contact as well. UK has one of the biggest trade delegations currently visiting Mumbai. Yesterday, you saw Keir Starmer, in fact, speak about the 3 Bollywood films that will be made in UK in the next couple of years. So that itself, speaks about the shared values and the shared trade between both these countries. But obviously, the focus between Prime Minister Modi and Keir Starmer's meeting today will be on strengthening the bilateral cooperation, trying to reduce the visa regime that is there. Already there's been a statement in last couple of days from the UK Prime Minister that the visa regime will not be relaxed for India, and that certainly hasn't sent a very positive message. But apart from that, the market access, the kind of bilateral cooperation that both enjoy will go from strength to strength. Apart from that, UK is also utilized by a large chunk of Indian students for their studies. How that can be that entire process can be smoothened for the Indian students will also be a top priority. We have seen in the last last few years, the free trade agreement between the two countries that was inked, and how that free trade agreement can be taken to another level. Will implementation on both sides will be also key. You talked about the global issues, including the Israel-Hamas war, and at a time when the US president has slapped 50% tariff, India, UK, India and European Union trying their best to strengthen their bilateral trade cooperation, and that is very critical at this particular stage. Also, this meeting comes at a time when Trump has announced the first phase of the Gaza peace process. I'm pretty sure that international issues, including the Gaza peace process and the Russia-Ukraine war, will also figure in the talks that will happen today.
Right. Lots to look forward to. Aditya, do stay on with us as I get in a quick update from Saurabh Gupta, who's live with us at the moment too. Saurabh, just laying the spotlight on the education aspect for a moment. We do know that the number of Indian students in the UK is around 170,000. We know various UK universities are planning to establish campuses in India, but as far as the roadmap is concerned, especially considering the new education policy, what are we looking at? Any remarkable developments expected after this bilateral?
Well, we are expecting a statement, and that is something that will highlight whatever discussions have taken place. And in fact, this is going to be a key bilateral, given the fact that, both the prime ministers are meeting in Mumbai ahead of the keynote addresses that they're also going to deliver at the Global Fintech Festival. Now, this is something that is interesting in the fact that, like you were mentioning, there is, of course, these are times of global uncertainty, but in that atmosphere of global uncertainty, the India-UK partnership definitely seems to be on a firm, forward-looking approach, and that's, of course, not only in terms of education. In fact, I did speak to Howard Dubber, the Deputy Mayor of London for Business and Growth, and of course he touched upon various issues, including, startup space, ensuring that Indian businesses that want to also operate from London are treated as a London business from the moment they set up shop. So a lot of things about ease of doing business, also the fact that the collaboration could be far more deeper with far-reaching consequences is something that both these leaders would be discussing. But however, the context of the partnership and the free trade agreement that already exists is also key, because that is one of the key things that we've been talking about in the reportage of this entire event. And this is something that India-UK ties is something that both these prime ministers will obviously discuss and take forward, given the fact that this is a key moment and it comes in the backdrop of what else is happening in the world. However, the India-UK partnership, like we've been mentioning, and there, of course, from what we understand from, members of the UK delegation who've arrived with the British Prime Minister, and like he said, he's leading one of the biggest trade delegations to India. So in the context of all of that, this is an extremely important meeting that will take place at the Raj Bhavan in Mumbai between the two Prime Ministers. And then, like I said, they're going to come also to this place where I am, which is the Global Fintech Festival, where both the Prime Ministers will engage with industry and business leaders and also deliver keynote addresses to the gathering here. Because remember, in terms of fintech, London is, of course, is one of the, prime destinations, and Mumbai is the financial capital of India, and therefore there is a lot of collaboration between the two cities as well that could take place in terms of fintech. And so obviously there will be a lot of focus on partnerships, that really take forward, the comprehensive partnership that the India and UK have already put in place in terms of what was signed earlier.
Right. Saurabh, do stay on with us. Aditya Raj Kaul is also tracking the British Prime Minister's touchdown very closely. Aditya, a defense industrial roadmap for collaboration as far as co-design, co-development and co-production of defense products is also expected to meet the growing demand in both countries, right? What are the tangible movements that we both are making, as in India and the UK are making, to accomplish our goals?
That's right. Be it trade, be it investment, or be it the defense ties, these would be discussed threadbare during the bilateral that will take place. These are visuals, of course, of Prime Minister Modi and Keir Starmer inside the Raj Bhavan that are coming in. Handshake, the official ceremony of that handshake has taken place. And now they are heading towards the bilateral meeting that will be followed by a joint statement by both of them at the Raj Bhavan in Mumbai. A lot of key initiatives could be announced, but the large chunk of the focus of this bilateral meeting and the visit of the UK Prime Minister is revolving around trade, is revolving around investment, and how both these countries can fulfill the entire aim of job creation between these countries. And of course, the 125 members strong trade delegation will try to create an environment and narrative of more mutual cooperation, mutual investment, and a win-win cooperation between both these countries. Apart from the defense and the trade ties that could be discussed, and there could be some significant announcements in those areas, we could also potentially see global and regional conflicts being discussed in detail. Of course, we could see a mention of the Pahalgam terror attack and how terrorism needs to be condemned without any differentiation between good terror and bad terror. We could also see global conflicts, including Russia Russia-Ukraine war that has been raging for more than 3.5 years, and the Israel-Hamas conflict that is perhaps on the verge of a peace deal being discussed between these countries also. The UK Prime Minister has been on the firing line in the recent days by the Israeli government and a lot of Israeli supporters because of his moves around Palestinian state. But India has been a votary of a two-state solution for a very long time. So there could be a kind of a mutual message of peace, of diplomacy and dialogue that could come out of Mumbai after the bilateral meeting as well. So, of course, there's a huge chunk of the Indian population that goes to UK, both for studies as well as for business. There are a lot of professionals that work there in different areas, from IT to software to other potential domains. So as of now, we are waiting for that keynote address after the bilateral meeting ends, because there could be some significant announcements when it comes to trade and defense ties between these countries. And of course, the fintech summit where Saurabh is reporting from, where technology disruptions and artificial intelligence has been something that has been discussed. Blockchains and supply chains are something that has been discussed threadbare as well. India is also trying to look towards the connectivity projects through Middle East to Europe, and that would be something significant that could be discussed here as well.
Right. Aditya, do stay on with us. Thank you so much for highlighting what to expect and the likely tangible outcomes as well. The optics, meanwhile, I must highlight, are interesting, because the Labour Party Prime Minister is visiting a BJP-led India, which many say have actually highlighted this aspect for the interesting optics, just months after an FTA was signed under Prime Minister Modi. Whether the tone has shifted from the earlier friction that the Labour Party had with India over diaspora issues and Kashmir, that remains to be seen after this bilateral wraps up. Saurabh Gupta is still with us. Saurabh, take us through the message coming out of Sir Keir Starmer's visit so far. Are both sides pitching this as an economic reset, or is this still being seen as a broader strategic partnership?
Well, there are different aspects to it, and of course, one is, this is, remember, the third meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and that's interesting given the fact that the two leaders have met, and every time they've met and they've discussed issues have moved forward, and we have that in terms of the FTA that is there. Now, Prime Minister Starmer's visit to Mumbai is, of course, a largely trade visit, and we've seen some other snippets of it, including interactions with football fans and, of course, a Bollywood touch to it as well.